Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Victory Monday. Greetings, salutations. We're back for the weekend. We got 3 hours to hang out together here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning in to the show today, thanks so much for taking the time to spend time with us here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. It is a Victory Monday. It is a beat 'em down Victory Monday. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Las Vegas Raiders 31-0, and beat isn't strong enough a word, frankly. You try to avoid hyperbole in some situations, but I don't think you can undersell what the Chiefs did to the Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium yesterday. And I don't think I've seen a team, and I said this on the instant reaction, so I've had 24 hours to think about whether this is true, and I'm almost exactly, 24 hours. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL team look worse in 60 minutes than the Las Vegas Raiders did. And a lot of that had to do with how good the Chiefs were, for sure. So we will break it all down today. The Chiefs win. They are over 500 for the first time this season. Rashee Rice returns with a flourish. The defense gets a functional bye. That's basically, well, I shouldn't say that. Poor Omar Norman Lott saw his season come to an end yesterday. He didn't feel like he had a bye week. His season's over, unfortunately. It's been reported he's torn his ACL. But everybody else had a bye week, basically, on that Chiefs defense because they were hardly out there because the Raiders ran fewer plays than the Chiefs scored points. And again, the Chiefs did not score some wild, out there, inordinate amount of points. 31-0 was the final, and the Raiders scored 30 points. It was the first shutout of the Andy Reid era. That kind of surprised me. Shutouts are hard. You don't take them for granted, even if you are playing the Washington Generals of this year's NFL, which is sure what the Raiders looked like yesterday. So we'll talk about it all. The highs and it's all highs. Let's be honest. There wasn't really much wrong with that Chiefs performance last night. The scoreboard and the stat sheet bear it out. We will have fun talking Chiefs football on this Victory Monday. We'll talk all about how good the Chiefs were and all about how bad the Raiders were. Because when you get an opportunity to poke at the Raiders, you take it. You take that opportunity. We're going to do it. We're going to run through some numbers later on in the show that really emphasize just how sorry the Raiders were yesterday. They were pathetic. And the Chiefs made them look pathetic. So lots of that, lots of reaction. Your reaction, of course, as we go along to a Chiefs winner. We'll have our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, join us at the bottom of this hour. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Will join us to talk about that Chiefs performance, talk about everything else from NFL Week 7. Later on in the show, 5 big questions that I took away that I think are worth asking, I suppose, following the Week 7 action yesterday. And it's not done yet. 2 Monday night games on the docket tonight. I genuinely do not know what the first one is. I would have to go look. I know Seahawks-Texans is a late one. I have no idea who's playing the first game tonight. I have completely forgotten. So, but there are 2 games tonight. We'll preview those. We'll look ahead to Week 8 some with Matt Verderame as well. We'll also talk some Big 12 football. KU and K-State were off. What did we learn about the Big 12? Because there were 2 marquee games, and they both delivered. They were both good games. Arizona State, Texas Tech was very entertaining. And BYU, Utah delivered the goods. The Holy War always does. What did we learn from the Big 12 weekend that was? And a not very promising injury report out of Manhattan with the Sunflower Showdown just 6 days away. We'll get to all of that on the show today as well. Plus your typical Monday shenanigans. We'll do a round of good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. We'll start a new week on what is wrong with you. We got our 580 sports talk headlines, including playoff roundup, coming up in a bit as well. And as I mentioned, your reaction throughout the program today, get at us on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429 with your texts. And if you are watching the show on YouTube today, first of all, welcome. Thanks for being here. Second of all, if you're not watching on YouTube, why not go check it out and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And third of all, there's a live chat that runs throughout the live broadcast of the show on our YouTube channel. Jump on in, say hello, interact with your hosts, interact with your fellow listeners as we go along on this Victory Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Again, the name of that channel on YouTube is 580 Sports Talk. Chiefs 31, Raiders nothing. If you needed more evidence as to this year's Chiefs not being last year's Chiefs, if you needed more evidence that yesterday's price is not today's price when you line up against the Kansas City Chiefs, how many times last season, hell, even against the Raiders, did we see the Chiefs line up against a team that was struggling, that was floundering, that looked like they were going nowhere? And that team would find a spark, would gather their best, would play well. The Chiefs would struggle to put them away. In some instances, the Chiefs would need a last-second drive to put them away. In some instances, they would need a good fortune, a good bounce, like they did in the Black Friday game against the Raiders to put them away. Those were last year's AFC champions. This year's AFC favorites, and yes, I'm still saying it. I know the Colts are 6-1. I know the Broncos lead the AFC West. I know the Bills are still good. I don't care. These are the favorites in the AFC. Whether your sportsbook says it or not, I say it. They're the favorites in the AFC. They ran into a struggling opponent, and not only did they keep a struggling team struggling, they embarrassed the Raiders for 60 minutes. They put the boot to the neck, and they did not let them breathe, barely let them participate for 60 minutes of football. That annihilation started on offense. The first team offense had the ball 5 times, and they put points on the board 5 times, including 4 straight touchdown drives to open the game, including 3 touchdown drives in the first half, including 3 drives of 84 or more yards for touchdowns to start the game. I know I keep saying this. It keeps being true. And if you were hesitant to admit it to yourself, you can hesitate no longer. This is what watching the Chiefs offense used to feel like. This is restoring the feeling. This is the Chiefs. These are the Chiefs that we remember most fondly in this dynastic run. The team that when they get the ball, as long as they don't screw up, they will score. Rashee Rice returned with a vengeance. 2 touchdowns. Only 42 yards on his 7 receptions. A couple of 2-yard or inside the 5 touchdowns will limit that yards per catch tally. But you saw everything that he is capable of doing and capable of bringing to this offense in his first game back. And he made up for some lost time getting into the end zone twice. It sure felt as if, and there are numbers that bear this out that we'll get to a little bit in just a minute here. It felt like the Chiefs had an open man on every play, or somebody who could get open as long as Mahomes had enough time, which was almost every time. And in the occasional scenario where the zone defense worked on the back end and there wasn't anybody getting open enough in a window, Mahomes would simply scramble for yardage, keep the drive moving, stay ahead of the chains, move the chains. The Raiders had no answer for the Chiefs offense because right now there aren't any answers for the Chiefs offense. Over the past 4 weeks, so this is the most recent 4 games for the Chiefs. This is against the Ravens, the Jags, the Lions, and the Raiders. The Chiefs have scored touchdowns, not scored points, scored touchdowns on 56% of their non-garbage time drives. So throw out every possession with Gardner Minshew at the helm in yesterday's game. Toss those. Toss out the run out the clock drive at the end of the Detroit game when they're up by 2 scores. Toss that one. Toss out kneeling to run out the clock against the Giants. Toss that drive. Throw out the garbage time drives. The Chiefs are scoring in their last 4 weeks on 56% of their drives. Touchdowns, not points. Not, we'll get 3 here. That's fine. They are scoring touchdowns on over half of their drives. The league average is 26%. Non-garbage time drives and in a touchdown, slightly more than a quarter of the time. The Chiefs are doing it more than half the time over the last month. And I mentioned that it felt like there was somebody open on every play. The number that backs that up, Bill Barnwell had this one today in his ESPN.com column. In the last 4 weeks, Patrick Mahomes is throwing passes to open receivers. The intended receiver on the play is, by definition, open. Nearly 63% of the time. No one else is throwing to open receivers that often. No one else is close. Oh, and in that stretch, he's only facing quick pressure, like immediate bear down pressure from a defensive lineman, 6% of dropbacks. The league average is 15%. And oh yeah, that's without his starting left tackle. That's with the backup left tackle in. That's over the last 4 games. Yeah, the first 2 weeks were bumpy. They were. Really, the first 2.5 games were a bit of a rough ride. They started to find something in the second half against the Giants. Then they got Xavier Worthy back. Then they got Rashee Rice back. And so while there are teams who have better records and teams that are leading their division with the Chiefs, which the Chiefs are still not, they remain a game behind Denver in the AFC West, you can have them. You can have those teams. We know what we're watching here. We know what it feels like to watch a Chiefs team and say they look inevitable. And not in the, well, clearly they've made a deal with the devil here, sort of inevitability that we were all sort of, not us, but I think the broader NFL watching public was sort of resigned to in 2024. This feeling of, well, I mean, they're going to win because they always do. They're going to find a way. It's going to be weird. It might be silly. It might have nothing to do with them, but they're going to find a way to win. There's that inevitability, and there's this. There's what we've seen for about the last month from this Chiefs offense. The inevitability of points has returned to this Chiefs team. And yeah, it's having an impact on the defense. For one yesterday, they hardly had to play. 30 total snaps. 30. The league average plays running a game is somewhere in the 60s. The Raiders were barely out there. I wonder if some of their guys even had to shower after the game for as little as they were on the field. And when they were on the field, they couldn't do anything. It's not like, oh, they had some quick strike drives. They were just scoring on these 2-play drives. No, they were 3 and out. They were 3 and out. They were 3 and out. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. Geno Smith had pressure in his lap every time he dropped back. Dominance. Full phase dominance. If you want to nitpick, it wasn't Nico Remigio's best day in the return game. Chiefs gave up a couple of long kickoff returns to the point where I think they might just have Butker kick it through the end zone again. Their kickoff return coverage is so iffy right now that they might just decide they'd rather give the other team the ball at the 35-yard line. Or maybe that was just a Raider thing. Maybe that was just the level of disrespect for what the Raiders brought to the field yesterday that, whatever, give the ball in midfield. Who cares? Yeah, give it to him on the 35. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. We'll keep our guys from having to get in any collisions and get hurt. That's cool. Bang it through the end zone. It felt good. It felt right. It felt enjoyable to watch that Chiefs performance. And you could tell this was a charged up football team, first of all. You could tell by how they reacted to Rashee Rice's touchdown on the opening drive of the game. You could tell by the way they were getting after the quarterback. You could tell that there was an energy on that sideline, an energy that permeated through that stadium. But you could also tell there was one play that was a big tell that this Chiefs team has their swagger all the way back. And it was a play that didn't even count. They came out in some weird single wing formation with Gardner Minshew next to Patrick Mahomes in the backfield around the goal line. And unfortunately, Mike Caliendo screwed it up. He probably didn't get to drill this play with the starters, I'm guessing. Trey Smith left the game for a little bit, had a back injury. It doesn't sound for now like that's a real concern. I mentioned Omar Norman Lott's unfortunate injury. That sounds like the only long-term issue coming out of Sunday, at least based on what we know right now. But Trey Smith wasn't in the game, and Mike Caliendo was, and Caliendo got off the mark just a little quick on that trick play around the goal line. But the thought behind it, Mahomes said as much in his postgame, they really wanted to get Gardner Minshew a touchdown. The Chiefs could not go into games last year and decide, who do we want to score the touchdown? They had enough trouble scoring the dang touchdown in the first place. They ain't have the luxury of being able to choose, right? Yesterday, they had the luxury of choice. That's how you know this offense is clicking. They had the luxury of choice. They got down around the goal line, and they decided Rashee Rice is going to score this first touchdown. And they threw him a swing pass, and the Raiders defended that well. The Raiders played with a little bit of spirit on the opening drive. It was immediately deflated after that, but it was there. So they threw the swing pass, and Rashee Rice didn't score, and the Chiefs said, all right, well, we'll try something else then to get him in. And they ran the pop pass for him, and they blocked it really well, and he got it in the end zone for the touchdown. And then later in the game, they said, well, we want Gardner Minshew to get a touchdown. The arrogance of being on the sideline and deciding we're going to get Gardner Minshew into the end zone. The arrogance, the confidence, the swagger, call it what you want, but it's back all the way for this Chiefs offense. If they're picking who's going to score the touchdowns, that's how you know. And I hate that Mike Caliendo messed that play up because it was going to be really cool. They didn't get to run it to completion. I guarantee you there's probably some high school team in the state of Kansas running some variation of that offense who immediately recognized that play. So that was, to me, the play that really emphasized just how confident this Chiefs team is right now. They feel like nobody can stop them, and they might be right. They feel like there aren't any answers for what they can put out there on offense. And we really didn't get to see it at full capacity because I think the Chiefs eased off the gas when they got up 14-0. I think they went into screw around mode a little bit on that third drive of the game. Mahomes about threw 3 picks on that third drive. If we're being honest about it, that linebacker made a really nice play, jumped out on that RPO. That was the one thing the Raiders had figured out, how to defend the Chiefs RPO stuff. I don't even think the Chiefs need the RPO stuff anymore, to be completely honest with you. Like, they don't run the ball effectively out of it. They can junk that, and I think that would be fine. It's really more a way for Mahomes to play quick game than anything else. The Raiders had that sniffed out. Like, they defended the RPO stuff pretty well. They had another near knockdown on a pass to Juju. They almost had the pick there. That's a side note. Like, there's stuff that works, there's stuff that doesn't. And the Chiefs are adding stuff that works. Under center run game. More Brashard Smith. Short yardage packages with multiple tight ends in the backfield. Their 2 tight end stuff is really working effectively again. They can afford to start setting aside stuff that doesn't work. And the RPO stuff, like, it's not great. It's not great for the Chiefs, honestly. There's the one thing the Raiders seem to have a decent handle on. And it almost got them, you could say it maybe would have gotten them back in the game. Maybe it's different if that linebacker doesn't drop that interception. But that was a sign that the Chiefs maybe were entering screw around mode. Hollywood Brown carrying the football like a loaf of bread. That wasn't great. But the fumble that was caused bounced right to Xavier Worthy, and he gained a couple of extra yards. It ended up looking like an Aussie rules football play. So they're dangerous. They're living right. And the end result of those two things, as one-sided a game as we have seen in the NFL this century. We'll bring you some numbers later on in the show that back that up. But that's what you saw yesterday. You saw a little bit of history. You saw, arguably, the most one-sided NFL game of the century. And how good does it feel to do that to the Raiders? We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get some thoughts from you listeners. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Drop your comments into the YouTube chat as well. We'll get to some of those. Matt Verderame is going to join the program for our NFL Insider segment here in just a little bit. Lots of Chiefs to talk today. Lots of college football, lots of NFL. We're so glad you're with us on a Victory Monday on 580 Sports Talk. .30, we're just getting started on this Victory Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Welcome in. Promise some listener reaction. Let's get to the text line first from the 785. Listener asking, what has finally clicked for Jawan Taylor? Another clean game for 74 on the right side of the offensive line. Look, I would be interested to hear from him. I don't think he typically does media availability. He's not a guy that he goes to the podium post-game or anything like that. He's not one of those marquee players. If I had to guess, it's just a simple matter. Like if you're giving up penalties, if you're getting called for holding or illegal use of hands, anything like that, it's usually your technique. You're sloppy. is what's happening. You're just getting sloppy. You got good technique and you fire off the ball and you're doing the things you're drilled to do. You shouldn't get called for penalties. Sometimes you're going to get beat because the other guy practices too. But I just think it's a focus thing. It's a technique thing. I just think he's played sharper. And I think he's probably felt, Taylor, like after the first 2 weeks in particular, like maybe his job was on the line. And yes, the person who had been more likely to replace him in the lineup is now deputizing at left tackle for the foreseeable future with Josh Simmons still not with the team. But I think he felt a little bit of Jalen Moore breathing down the back of his neck and got publicly criticized by Matt Nagy in a way that was really rare, and he has responded. Juwan Taylor's been super. Give the man his flowers. Text from the 785. Sad to see losing Omar Norman Lott for the year. The leadership of Mahomes and others helping him off the field was really great to see. More and more, it starts to feel like this Chiefs team is more, and this is not to say the previous editions of the Chiefs have not been connected or have not had good team chemistry, but it feels like there's a higher level of that with this group. And you see it in little moments like that where it's Mahomes coming off the bench to help a rookie off the field with that injury. Just little things like that kind of stand out. Like this feels like a very together football team. And they've talked about that to a certain extent. And we've especially heard it regarding the chemistry in the wide receiver room. But just, again, the stuff you can see, and sometimes it's eyewash, sometimes it's not real, sometimes it hides things going on behind the scenes. But what we can see, this feels like a very together football team. It really, really does. Another one from the 316. Thanks for the text this afternoon. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Between Juwan Taylor and Kingsley's uptick in clean reps, feels like the Chiefs become more solid. Teams have to respect the run a little more. Fewer rushers are just pinning their ears back to get after the quarterback. I would agree with that point that the running game is good enough. I thought Pacheco was solid yesterday. It wasn't spectacular. The yards per carry was under 4. A lot of that was the second half was garbage. The entire second half was garbage time. At 21-0, that game was over. The Raiders sold out against the run a little bit there on the last, especially the field goal drive. They really sold out against the run, and that hurt Pacheco's numbers a little bit. So too did the touchdown run of, being close in. That's going to limit your yards per carry. But yeah, I think that everything clicking in concert does get to the point where you have to hesitate just the tiniest bit. And all those guys are playing well. Moore's playing well. Kingsley's playing really well. It's never just one thing, but it's a lot of things going right for that offensive line right now. And it feels, again, like this is probably as good as a group across the board in front of Mahomes has played for a stretch, at least in a good long while. Mark in the YouTube comments asked, is that the worst ever loss by Pete Carroll in the NFL? I don't know. He didn't throw the ball at the 1 yard line with a Super Bowl at stake. I think that's his worst loss. Personally, it's just me talking. Funny anecdote about that, by the way. So I was sat down. I watched the whole game. My wife was doing some laundry and making sure our son got to take a nap. And she sat down to really kind of watch at the very end of the game. And they showed Pete Carroll. She goes, wait, isn't that the Seahawks old coach? Like, my wife doesn't follow the game quite as closely as I do, naturally. And I had to tell her, yeah, sure is. He says, so he didn't want to retire? I said, he kind of feels like he should have, doesn't it? It's not going well for old Pete. Feel a little bad for him. I'll always love Pete Carroll. But that was part of the shock of yesterday, that a Pete Carroll team looked like that. Because I don't remember Seahawks teams ever being that outman flatly under Carroll against anybody they played. But just to be that lifeless. I mean, he's Mr. Win Forever. He's Mr. Always Compete. And that team had no compete in it after 14-0. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Again, appreciate the text, appreciate the interaction in the chat. We'll get to more of those reactions as we go along later in the program. We're going to take a break right now, come back with Matt Verderame, our NFL Insider on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show, and appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. He joins us on 580 Sports Talk every Monday at this time. Matt, you almost run out of vocabulary for that game for the good of the Chiefs and the abject that was the Raiders. I just want to start with what you were most impressed by from the Chiefs' performance in that 31-0 win yesterday.
3 first downs. I mean, to give up 3 first downs in a game, that's impossible. But that's less than a first down a quarter. And when you consider the fact that the Chiefs were basically on the sideline having a party with about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the Raiders still didn't muster more than 3 first downs. I mean, normally when you see a game that's that lopsided, it becomes a little less lopsided in the box score because the fourth quarter is a joke, and the team that was playing like garbage ends up, racking up 150 yards and a couple touchdowns. There's a lot of numbers you could pick from. No third down conversions, no fourth down conversions, 3 first downs, under 100 yards passing, under 3 yards per carry rushing. But to me, the most impressive one was 3 first downs. That is something you can watch the Chiefs for 50 years. That may never happen.
Rashee Rice makes an instant impact on the score sheet with a pair of touchdowns in his first game back in over a year. Yep. What did you feel like was the most obvious impact of having him on the field, beyond the obvious of scoring the 2 touchdowns and having all those targets? What looked different? What looked better about the offense with number 4 out there?
I would just say it enhanced it. I mean, they'd already been playing really well, obviously, but just easy yardage. A lot of his catches were just easy. They were 10 yards and under, yards after catch. Just look, Mahomes can look for him, and he's going to be open a lot because he's a great route runner. He's a big target. He is a bigger physical target compared to Worthy and Brown. He's more in the size mold of Juju, but obviously a lot more athletic at this point. That's where I think he can be a big problem for teams. In the red zone, where he's a big-bodied guy. Where they can put him on the end of the line, in motion in the run game, and he can really take somebody out in the block. He, I think, more than anybody, is going to benefit from this whole Thornton-Worthy, Brown track team, where they have 3 guys who are going to run a sub-4-3. When you have that much speed on the outside, I don't care what defense you play, what preference you want to have. You have to play 2 deep. You have to. The Raiders went there being a 1 deep team all year this year and played 2 deep because you have to respect it. And when you do that, Kelsey's going to get a bunch of yardage. Rice is going to get a bunch of yardage. Juju is going to get open. And I think you saw it all click. They had 5 drives with their starters. They scored 31 points. And they had 401 yards. And that's about as perfect as it gets.
Matt Verderame is our guest, our NFL insider, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. One negative for the Chiefs, the injury bug. Omar Norman-Lott tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. With the trade deadline 15 days away, how active do you expect the Chiefs to be looking for depth at that position? Because it's been a little iffy there before Omar Norman-Lott went down.
I think you have to be. Look, I don't think they're going to be wildly aggressive. I don't think they're going to just go out and make some outrageous moves. I think a smart move would be call the Arizona Cardinals about Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is still really good, and he's 38 years old. He's playing legitimate Pro Bowl level football right now as a defensive tackle for the Cardinals. He's playing more than half the snaps. He's the kind of guy, what are you giving up? A 6th? I don't even know if it's that. He's obviously going to be there for the remainder of the year and may retire after that. If you're him, I don't want to speak for Calais Campbell. I would imagine that would be a welcome trade. I know he loves being in Arizona, but I would think getting a shot at the Super Bowl in a career that's all that's missing. That's the kind of trade I could see them making. A guy who can come in and really play. And then, Christian Wilkins is a guy, he's out there as a free agent. There's all this uncertainty around him, both health-wise and even just kind of how that all ended with the Raiders. You don't know what's going on there. It's been kind of hush-hush. But I think they love to play Dan and Menahu inside at times, but they are a body short there. They do need somebody else. And I would think that right now, their offense, I know everybody wants a running back, and that's fine. They get a running back. I'm not going to pan them for it, but they're scoring 1 million points. They probably would tell you that either another pass rusher or an interior presence is probably more important.
The flip side of that game yesterday, Matt, have you seen an NFL team look as abject as the Las Vegas Raiders did yesterday? That was appalling.
I mean, the Jets exist. And I watched them play Denver and London, and honestly, I lost all respect for England when they didn't start a war. That was England should have immediately declared war at halftime of that game, and frankly, I would have sided with the English. But look, the Raiders. What was so appalling about that game is it really felt like probably around 21-0, right around half. It felt like the Raiders basically were like, all right, the bye week starts now. We're good. They didn't even, especially on offense. Defensively, I felt like they tried. They were just completely overmatched and outclassed. It felt like offensively in that game, including the coaching staff, it felt like they basically just said, all right, we're done. How Pete Carroll, there were multiple instances in the first half where they were at or near midfield and had 4th and 2, 4th and 4. And we're just like, that's all right, we'll punt. And at some point, Pete Carroll's going to forget more about football than I'll ever know. But there does come a point there where you're like, Pete, I got to tell you, I know what you're trying to do. You're playing the field position game. They are driving. If the Chiefs had to drive 190 yards yesterday to score a touchdown, they would have done it. You need to score. And it was a badly coached game. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't block. They couldn't run. The Raiders, very rarely do you watch a football game and really feel like a team is just genuinely helpless. They felt helpless, which is why, honestly, I think Andy just called off the dogs and said, look, this is an unfair fight. We're going to play him again. Let's not give him any motivation. And I think that's what, and also too, look, he knows they've got a long week this week and a short week against Buffalo. And I think he probably felt like this is a great way to basically give the defenders a bye. When they pulled their starters on defense, they had played as a defense a total of 21 snaps in that game. It's like a bye week. They never played. So I think Andy took advantage of that.
Matt Verderame is our guest, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt writes for Sports Illustrated SI.com. Pivoting to the rest of the league, the most remarkable game from yesterday, the fourth quarter wildness in Denver. The Broncos score 33 in the fourth after being shut out for 3 quarters, and they beat the Giants 33-32. It's the second time the Broncos have had a comeback in the fourth quarter to beat an NFC East team after doing nothing on offense for 3 quarters. They did the same thing to the defending champion Eagles. So what do we make of this Bronco team? Is what we're seeing in the fourth quarter real, or is it just kind of some throwback to the Tebow era weirdness where they're finding ways to win games despite not being all that good?
I think with this, I often say 2 things can be true at once, and I think this applies here. They deserve credit for finding a way to win these games. They do. You could sit there and say, well, they played like crap for 3 quarters. They did. They played off. I watched the whole game. They were terrible. Even defensively, quite honestly, they were not very good in that game. Even that held true even in the fourth quarter. But you got to give them credit for making the plays to win the game. That is the bottom line. This is the NFL. They found a way. The other side, though, that is also true, that they're 5-2. And while I give them a lot of credit, and I mean that, going to Philly and finding a way to win, their other 4 wins are the Giants, the Jets, the Bengals with Jake Browning, and the Titans. And by the way, all those games were either home or neutral sites. So, I don't know, and none of them were blowouts except for the Bengals game. So I don't know what to do with that. I honestly think in the end they're kind of the same team they were a year ago, where they're really good defensively. Nix has his moments, but a lot of the time he's not good. If they can't get it going with Sutton, they just can't do anything. In the end, I think the Chiefs are going to win this division, and I think they might even win it by a couple of games. But I got to give it to Denver. Denver, they find ways, unlike the Chargers, who didn't even bother to play football yesterday. I think Denver deserves credit for finding a way to win, even if it is really on the edge of a razor.
We're joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated here on 580 Sports Talk. And Matt, how does Mike McDaniel's key card still work in Miami this morning?
I have no idea. I have no look. I wrote so every I think it's 4 weeks over at SI, we do a hot seat meter, which is just kind of a playful look at here's what's going on, and obviously it's serious for these guys, but kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek look at it with the seriousness it deserves in the regard of how close are these guys to losing their jobs. And I think we're going to run it in the middle of the week. And I actually said to Matt, yes, we might want to run the suit now because I don't know that McDaniel's going to survive month four. I don't know how it's going to happen. And yet he's still here. And apparently they're just going to let him keep coaching. I honestly am to a point, I was watching his presser this morning. It's almost like he wants to be fired. He'll just go up there and be like, yeah, hopefully Tua doesn't throw 10 picks this week. That's an insane thing to say in a press conference. Can you imagine if Andy Reid walked up and said something like that at a press conference? I mean, that's wild. I mean, they just played a Browns team that obviously is horrendous, but had not before yesterday, had not scored 20 points in the game at all this season. Every team in the league had at least done it twice. The Browns had 24 points one play into the third quarter. The Dolphins don't even try. You watch those games and there's no effort. I mean, some guys are still trying, but a lot of the guys are either waiting to get traded or you can tell they just don't believe in it anymore. They don't want to do it to after what was said last week. I don't know what the Dolphins are waiting for. Maybe they just figure, look, long term, the best thing is to just completely bottom out, and him coaching the team is the best way to do that. But I'll tell you, it is a tough one. I mean, that team, the Jets are worse. I don't know that any team looks better than the Dolphins.
And on the flip side of that, how are the Colts sustaining the start 6-1 now? Daniel Jones looks like he could be a Pro Bowl level quarterback. And with Jonathan Taylor, obviously one of the best running backs in the league, he's showing it.
I think look, you got to give the Colts credit. I mean, do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? I don't. But that's really based on the idea that I just think that roster, there's not a ton of real top tier guys, although Warren is, even as a rookie. Obviously, Taylor is. Quentin Nelson's a great guard. But there's not – they don't have a roster you typically look at, that team's going to win the Super Bowl. I think Daniel Jones is functioning the way Shane Steichen was, praying he would function, which is just, hey, man, hit the throws you're supposed to hit. I'll get you easy reads. Don't turn the ball over and be accurate. And he's done that. And I think a big part of this, and it's underrated, Jonathan Taylor has been incredible. Jonathan Taylor's leading the league in rushing. He has 10 touchdowns on the ground already. He has been the bell cow. I think if you're going to stop the Colts, you stop him and you make Jones beat you. And nobody's really been able to do that yet. He's just run. If you can slow him down, I think you've got a good shot. Now, defensively, Anarumo's a great coordinator, and he's getting the most out of that group. It's not an overly talented defense. It's okay, but it's just far from great. But I got to give it to the Colts. Everybody keeps pointing out, well, they're beating these bad teams. They're killing them. And yesterday against the Chargers, I don't think they're a great team, but I think they're pretty good. They annihilated the Chargers. I mean, they did every single thing they wanted to do. They ran the ball over them. Jones hit on a few throws on third down. Give the Colts credit. Look, they're going to win that division. The question is going to be their schedule. They play Tennessee this week. They'll blow them out. Then after that, their schedule, there's not a single game the rest of the way that you're that's a gimme. How do they play down the stretch? Those last 10 games or 9 games or so, what do they look like? Can they go 6-2, 5-3? That's going to be the question. But you got to give them credit. They've played great.
Last thing for our NFL insider, Matt Verderame here on 580 Sports Talk. About 30 seconds here. We got a Monday night doubleheader tonight. Tampa Bay, Detroit. Lots of intrigue there. A late game out in Seattle with the Seahawks hosting the Texans. Tell me real quick, who's going to win each game tonight, and why are they going to win the game tonight?
The Bucs and the Lions is basically a battle of an injured defense against an injured offense. I think Detroit's favored by 6, which is too many points, but I think they'll find a way to win close. Coming off that loss to the Chiefs. Tampa's been playing great. I think Tampa's every bit as good. I just like the Lions at home by a field goal. I think they've run the ball well in this game. And then, look, Seattle's played great. I think Seattle's going to win. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think Seattle, their offense is clearly better than Houston's. I think that's the difference.
Matt Verderame covers the NFL, Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Check out his subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show, and catch him Mondays here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll step aside for a timeout, wrap up this hour with the good, bad, ugly from the weekend next. A real quick good, bad, ugly from the weekend. My good, Washburn Ichabod football forces 8 turnovers, a program record, and they beat Central Missouri. Great win for Zach Watkins' program. Maybe that gets them on track.
My good, got out to see the Topeka Scarecrows Saturday night. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but man, FPHL hockey is fun.
You enjoyed it? Good crowd? I know they sold it out on Friday.
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
Awesome. My bad, I called my shot. I was going to go 5-0 in the picks this week, and both of my college picks bricked again. Too much faith in Will Hammond. We'll talk more about that later.
My bad was I had too much fun, and my voice is, you can probably kind of hear it. It's a little strainy after screaming because we upgraded ourselves to ice tickets.
We could really tell
really
tell yesterday on the instant reaction. I didn't want to say anything, but you brought it up. So
yes.
Yeah. My ugly, Omar Norman Lott torn ACL. Hate to see that for a young player. See their season come to an end, and Godspeed for a quick recovery, and that he comes back ready to rock and roll in 2026.
My ugly was the Commanders down in Texas yesterday.
We're going to get into them a little bit more. We got some more NFL questions to get to later in the show, but when we come back to start the 4 o'clock hour, the Raiders were bad yesterday. How bad were they? We're going to tell you how bad they were. Plus some Big 12 football thoughts and what is wrong with you. In the next hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on a Victory Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock tonight here on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk, our YouTube channel, WIBW News, our Facebook page. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's a celebratory mood. Chiefs annihilate the Raiders 31-0 yesterday. So you know Chiefs Kingdom's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up when we're done at 6 o'clock tonight. Mitch Holtis at a Greater Kansas City Hy-Vee. And that'll be a fun show. And then following that, we'll pick up coverage of the Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight from Westwood One. We'll pick up in progress the Lions and the Buccaneers. And then we will bring in full the late game between the Seahawks and the Texans. So plenty of football coming your way tonight here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the YouTube channel. If you're watching at work, why not watch on YouTube? Give it a shot. Subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. We picked up about half a dozen YouTube subscribers over the weekend. That's awesome. That means we're now 67 subscribers shy of our stretch goal of 900, which will then get us to sing songs that you pick for us to sing on a little thing we'll call 580 Sports Talk Karaoke. We are men of our word. When we got to 800, Brendan and I arm wrestled. If you missed that, it's still up on our YouTube page for you to watch. But 900 is the next stretch goal. We get there, we're going to do 580 Sports Talk Karaoke. So who will be the hero who gets us closer today? Maybe it's you. Go subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything but a click over at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And once you're over there and watching the show, hop in that live chat. Say hello to your fellow listeners as we go along.
I'm just happy we're not at 893 because we would be so close to 900. And I would have to try and do karaoke.
Yeah, today would not have been a good day.
Voice, we'd have to postpone it to like
today.
2 weeks from now.
Today would not have been a good day to hit 900 for Spencer Dupuis, who wore out the pipes, rooting on the Scarecrows on a Saturday night. You were banging on the glass, the whole thing. That's a tough one. First loss in Scarecrows history.
Yeah, but I
unfortunately.
will say a lot of people there. Also, there was a fight within the first 30 seconds of the game.
Something must have happened in the opening game.
Yes.
Towards the end. Yeah, you get a fight that early. That means something happened the night before. And
then I was like, oh, this will set the table. And then there was nearly a line brawl at the end of the second period, but that was it. There was no other fights.
Well, give it time.
Yeah.
It's a long season.
Yeah.
No, great to see great crowds out at Landon Arena, Stormont Vale Event Center.
Also, shout out to them for Stormont Vale for the event center for getting into like the 21st century. I know when you go to like big time arenas, they now have self-serve concessions.
Mm-hmm.
They have that there.
Yeah, nice. I haven't been.
Like, I just thought because it was a small town, they wouldn't have this. And I was like, well, that's cool. I can go grab a beer, show the dude my ID, and scan my card and walk away.
So I haven't been since I went to a Pilots game. It's one of my first dates with my now wife, actually. Went to a Pilots game. Gosh, would have been December or January of 19 or 20. And that was the last time I've been out there. So I'll be out there, though. I'm gonna get in the building for some puck. Don't you worry. Maybe drop the first puck. They have anybody doing that? They have anybody drop the ceremonial first?
Well, they did this weekend. They had the part of the people that made it happen, that made it come back.
Sure.
You know, we're
well deserved.
In the Founders Club, as they call it. Helping out with
those people.
The money.
Those people should definitely have priority over the 580 Sports Talk group.
Yeah.
But
also, it was cool to see a lot of vintage, like Topeka hockey.
Yeah.
Whether it be the Pilots or the Scarecrows, like the OG Scarecrows, seeing all those jerseys around the arena.
Absolutely.
Were really cool. Also cool that as a Caps fan, there was a ton of Ovechkin jerseys.
Huh, interesting.
Like being this far away, it was cool to me to see something that I always
felt like home.
Up.
Felt like a little taste of home for you. That's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed that. And
too much fun.
T's and P's to your voice. Get some tea and honey tonight. You'll be back to normal in no time.
I got the
Ricola.
The old Halls.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ones that say impress yourself today.
Okay.
So.
Well, all right. You know what was impressive? The Kansas City Chiefs. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you segue.
Yep.
You know who was the opposite of that? The Las Vegas Raiders.
Clearly.
Let's play a fun game called Just How Bad Were the Raiders on Sunday? And I'm going to run through some of my favorite facts from that game yesterday. A 31-0 Chiefs win. First of all, the Chiefs were kneeling out the clock before the 2-minute warning. And
shout out to them.
Very sporting of them. Matt Verderame made the point. He's right. Some of this is Andy Reid respects Pete Carroll. Those guys have a history. They go back. There's a lot of respect across the sideline. Some of it is you play them again later. You don't want to give them any added fuel to their fire when you got to go play them at their place. I think that's a Week 18 game. So shoot, that might not even mean anything. Like
that might be a whole Gardner Minshew game.
Yeah, that could be Minshew revenge game with if the Chiefs have clinched the division or a playoff seed by then. But anyway, I understand those aspects of it too. But the other part of it is like it's out of respect, but also it's crazy disrespectful to be taking these before the 2-minute warning. Like we'll give you the ball back. We don't care. Like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with it? We'll give you the ball back. Who cares? We like that's how time works, right? Like even if the Raiders don't call their timeouts, you have to give them the ball back. We don't care. We'll give you the ball back. You want it now? Here, just take it now.
I mean, I just think it's hilarious. They maybe what did Minshew? Minshew didn't even attempt a pass.
No, they didn't. I thought they let him throw. Like they did,
but like they just ran the ball the entire time and said, "Here, Rashad Smith, take all these first team reps the rest of the game."
Yeah, no, they did. They pulled everybody, as many as they could, and just literally started running out the clock. They started kneeling out the clock before the 2-minute warning. You will not see that again in the NFL this season. Also, I can almost promise you.
Can we talk about that play to start the second quarter?
Well, we did. I did. But yeah, it was a again. It's an example.
So funny.
It's an example of the Chiefs kind of like, you're going well on offense when you feel like you can pick who gets to score the touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that is the realm that the Chiefs were in yesterday, where they decided they were going to get Rashee Rice a touchdown on the opening drive, and they did. And then they said, well, we'll get Gardner Minshew a touchdown on a trick play. And they almost did. And if it had been Trey Smith in the game and not Mike Caliendo, who probably repped it more than Caliendo did, I bet they wouldn't have had the false start and it would have counted.
I mean, I was talking about the fourth down.
Which one?
To start the second quarter.
Oh, that fourth down. That we didn't talk about that one.
It doesn't bleeping work.
Yeah, this bleeping never bleeping works. Patrick Mahomes. Very upsetting that he was caught on the microphone swearing. My 16-month-old son looked back at me, tears in his eyes, and said, "I don't know that I can watch the football anymore, Daddy. Mahomes said a swear, and it made me really sad." I'll be writing
said all that. He formatted sentences like that. Wow, I'm very impressed.
He said, "I will be writing a very sternly worded letter to the FCC and complaining about this vile language." Yeah. No, really funny stuff. Like I almost woke up. My son was actually napping at the time. I almost woke him up laughing at that. No, that was great stuff. Yes, the Chiefs were in like, let's have some fun mode, and you can be in fun mode when you score more points than the other team runs plays, which is another true fact about yesterday's game. The Chiefs scored 31 points and the Raiders ran 30 plays, which is the second fewest by any team in any game since 1970. That's the merger. That's the merger year, the AFL and the NFL. It's the second fewest plays a team has run in a regulation NFL game. And it's not as though the Raiders did anything with those plays. Their success rate, we talk about success rate a lot on this show. What's a successful play? I'll break it down again. I do it every time to make sure you get it straight. Successful play is 40% of the yards to gain for a first down, 50% of the yards to gain for a first down on second down, or a third or fourth down conversion. Those are successful plays. The Raiders ran a successful play 14% of the time. That is in the 0th percentile of success rate over the course of a season. Patrick Mahomes threw as many touchdowns as the Raiders gained first downs yesterday. That's another fun one. 3 touchdowns for Mahomes, 3 first downs for the Raiders. I like this one a lot. Stump your friends with this one. Who played more snaps yesterday? Chris Jones or Robert Tonyan? The correct answer is the Chiefs' third tight end, who appeared in 24 snaps. Chris Jones played 22.
Did you see they had Tunyon out wide at one point?
Yeah, well, why not? Why not?
I saw the number pop in at the end of the play, like when he was running, like coming back, and I was like, they legit had Tunyon outside. That's funny.
They had him out there with Jalen Royals, getting some cardio in. Like, they weren't throwing the ball by that point. But yeah, Robert Tunyon played more snaps than Chris Jones. I think that speaks to like something that is going to be very advantageous. We're going to get to the Commanders a little bit in our NFL segment in the 5 o'clock hour. They're coming in to Monday Night Football very banged up, primarily Jaden Daniels, who doesn't seem like he has a long-term injury to his hamstring, but a hamstring injury, even with an extra day to heal, that's going to be a tough one for him to make it back and be 100% if he does make it back for Monday Night Football. And he was far from the only prominent injured Commander. Dorrance Armstrong's now out for the year, the former Jayhawk. He's out for the year with
pass rusher.
Yeah.
Best pass rusher.
Out for the year with a knee injury. Obviously, Terry McLaurin's been dinged. Deebo Samuel didn't go. That's a beat-up football team. The Chiefs have managed largely to avoid the injury bug to this point in the season. Unfortunately, not the case for poor Omar Norman Lott. And we'll keep a look at we'll keep an eye this week on the guards for the Chiefs, because Trey Smith left the game, wasn't feeling good with his back. Kingsley Suamataia looked like he was in pain playing, but not in enough to come out of the game for any point. I think he might have got rolled up or fallen on a PAT. I think it was a point after where it looked like he got dinged and was being checked on. Mahomes came to check on him on the sideline. I saw on social media. So that'll bear watching, but if it were a long-term concern, we would probably know at this point with regards to one of those guys. The broader point is they have managed to avoid the injury bug, and now, whether they face Jaden Daniels or not, and you've got to assume that they will until it's ruled that they don't, or they aren't going to face him, they're going to be doing so with a defense that played the equivalent of preseason snaps.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
That's why I was just texting my buddy. He was like, I was telling him that I'll break the news. I'll be covering the game from the press box on Monday night. I was talking to him about it. He goes, and I was like, the Chiefs defense is going to be so rested. Like it's going to be crazy because they only played 30 snaps.
Yeah.
Total. Their whole defense.
Yeah. The whole defense only played 30 snaps. Here is the thing that gives this a little bit of historical perspective. Taylor Witt had this on X. He podcast writes about the Chiefs. In the Super Bowl era, so going back to the mid-'60s, there have been 2 games where all of the following things happened. The winning team scored 31 or more points. The losing team did not score. The winning team had 30 or more first downs. The losing team had 3 or fewer. The winning team had 400 or more total yards. The losing team had fewer than 100 total yards. That has happened exactly twice since the advent of the Super Bowl. So we are in the 60th year of the Super Bowl era, and this has happened 2 times. And one of them was yesterday. And the other time involved literally an expansion team, the 1999 Cleveland Browns, in their first game ever against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the first game of an expansion team. That's how bad the Raiders were yesterday. That their ineptitude, their gross and utter ineptitude, can only be matched by a team that was playing its first game in existence. That kind of says it all right there. They were completely and totally overmatched. And I am just shocked that the Raiders look like that 7 weeks in with Pete Carroll as their head coach.
Yeah.
And the whole point of hiring Pete Carroll, 74-year-old Pete Carroll, is that he's going to raise the floor because his Seahawks teams, they were a lot of things. They were dominant at their best. They were frequently an on and off the field circus. But you know when they were never that? What you saw yesterday from the Raiders, they were never that. The Seahawks were never, ever that. Not one time. Like, there were games where they didn't play well. There were games where they lost by, I remember one game, the year Jacksonville went to the AFC Championship game, that Jacksonville walked a mud hole in the Seahawks in Jacksonville. And the Seahawks tried to fight some fans after the game. That was bad. There was a game that same season, the Rams scored, I think, like 35 points in the first half. Like, there were bad performances, but never that. That was a team. I thought Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, really described it well in the last hour. It looked like they got down 14-0 and started their bye week. Yeah. They're like, bye week's next week. Certainly for Max Crosby, who thankfully it sounds like he's going to be okay. He got by a low block from Noah Gray. He'd been working through a knee injury. Apparently, it was a pre-existing injury that kind of got aggravated, and clean hit, clean block. They explained it on the broadcast, but he didn't return to the game after that. Not that it would have mattered if he did. Chiefs made him tap, man. Yeah. Like, the Chiefs made them submit, and that was, again, last year when teams played the Chiefs, when lousy teams played the Chiefs, they went into games feeling like, hey, we've got some answers. We can do some things. Like, it is hard to remember now, but the Panthers last year going into the Chiefs game were a wreck, right? Like, they came into that game, they were off of their bye, which didn't hurt, but they were 3-7. They were one of the worst teams in the league. And people are talking about benching Bryce Young, but they felt like in that game, okay, we can do some things against this Chiefs team. We can do some things on offense. We can attack them. They've got some weaknesses that we can attack. And they hung in, and they tied that game with a touchdown, a 2-point conversion late. The Chiefs needed to go on a late drive and get a game-winning field goal just to win that game. Teams last year played against the Chiefs and felt like they could find some answers. And right now, I don't know. Certainly the Raiders didn't have the answers, but I don't know who does. That's the big question, particularly for the Chiefs offense. Like, what is the answer to what this looks like now fully realized? Where Mahomes is throwing to open guys 63% of the time in the last month, which is the highest percentage of any NFL quarterback. When you are forced into playing a certain way because you have to respect the speed on the perimeter, and it opens up the middle of the field. And it opens things up for the running game, which, again, the per play numbers aren't going to look particularly pretty for the Chiefs, the yards per carry numbers. But again, so much of that occurred in what was effectively garbage time, where the Chiefs were not throwing the ball, and the other team knew they weren't throwing the ball out of respect. I mentioned it on the instant reaction yesterday, but it felt like everybody who plays for the Chiefs on offense, you saw something from them that was the best of them. Whether that was Travis Kelce finding space for that big 44-yard completion on the opening drive, whether that was Juju working the greasy areas underneath, whether that was Rashee Rice doing all the things that he does in the middle of the field with the quick routes, and the back shoulder throw. Sam McDowell, the Kansas City Star, pointed this out. Mahomes hadn't made that throw this year. Not one time to anybody else. And he threw it to Rashee Rice, and it's a touchdown because, again, Rice is that guy. We saw Hollywood Brown get open one-on-one against a zero coverage. Touchdown. Easy as you please. We saw Noah Gray catch a long pass down the field, opening a play designed to open some space up. And I
love that sequence of plays.
Yeah, the whole first drive was like virtuoso.
The script that was put together for that first drive was picturesque.
Yeah, and
the screen, then you go back on the fake screen after Kelce gets the long one, you get Gray down the side. I mean, that's just like, that is how you game plan a script for an opening drive.
Yeah, it was virtuoso stuff from Reed, Nagy, Mahomes, everybody involved in that, and it set the tone. Even though it was a long drive, even though they had to go a long way, all three of their first drives were 84+ yards, and they just walked it down the field. And they got into third down. It was kind of funny how frequently they would be like half a yard short on second down, and they just line up on third down and get it. And if they didn't get it, they line up on fourth down and they get it, with Mahomes doing a little bit of a verbal flourish that the FCC might not be thrilled with CBS about. But it just felt like you saw little glimpses of the best of it. Everybody got to play their greatest hits, like Hollywood, Rice, Worthy with his speed, Juju with what he does, Kelce and Gray, Pacheco, Brashard Smith, Mahomes making throws, no-look throws. You saw everybody play the hits on Sunday, and it embarrassed the Raiders. They did not have the answer. And again, the Raiders have like one great player on defense. They got 1, and he played half the game. They're going to play teams ahead on the schedule who have more pass rush depth, who are better in the secondary, who have better linebackers. All of these things are true. But when the offense is asking the questions, it's on you as a defense to come up with the answers.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answers are right now for this Chiefs offense. If they are as on song and as in harmony as it appeared they were on Sunday, I don't know who's got the personnel to answer those questions because it's the Chiefs asking all the questions. Last year, and really in recent years, when the quality of skill position talent dipped, both because of the player defections and age and injury, it did feel like sometimes it was the defense asking all the questions. And Mahomes and company, they had to come up with the answers. Now it's Mahomes lining up with his guys, and they're asking the questions. They're on the front foot. And the Raiders never responded. We'll take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You. We've got some text to get to from the 785-272-9429 from our text line. Want to hear from you in the YouTube chat as well, 580 Sports Talk. We'll talk some Big 12 football later this hour as well. Hang with us on a Victory Monday, 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? 2 new stories competing today. We'll get there in a second. Real quick. I laughed out loud 4 times during that Chiefs game yesterday. I laughed out loud 4 times. I laughed out loud when Patrick Mahomes got caught on the hot mic.
Me too.
Saying a word he might rather have not said. I laughed out loud when Jim Nantz and Tony Romo had the exchange where Jim Nantz meant to say tutties and said touchies instead.
Yes.
He called them touchies, which is way worse. I am not a fan of tutty personally. You can keep that bit of NFL football slang. Do not call them that. That's gross. Just call them touchdowns. It's the same number of syllables. You're not saving syllables. Just call them touchdowns.
Again, I think this is a generational gap thing.
Probably. I'm steering to the skid now, and I'll call them touchies. Mahomes threw 3 touchies yesterday. That made me laugh. I laughed really hard when they brought Kenny Pickett into the game.
Yes.
And they were talking up. They traded for Kenny Pickett during camp, and then I don't even think Jim Nantz finished his sentence before Pickett fumbled the snap.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs recovered it. What was the fourth time I laughed out loud was when my wife recognized Pete Carroll. Said, "Hey, wait a minute, isn't that the Seahawks old coach?"
Did you not laugh out loud when they was it 5 times? Are you sure when they kneeled the ball before the 2-minute warning? Because I did.
That was I
was like, you got to be kidding me.
I was too shocked to laugh. I was too shocked. I couldn't believe what I was saying. They were taking knees before the 2-minute warning. Anyway, let's get to what is wrong with you, shall we? 2 new stories today. I'm going first because my story is from the great state of Kansas. We're going to Crawford County, southeast Kansas. Hello, if we have any listeners in southeast Kansas. Gentleman was arrested over the weekend for stealing a truck. In English, the Crawford County Sheriff's Office said Saturday evening that deputies received a call that a man had pulled into a residence in a 2003 Chevy Silverado pickup truck. It was red. And he asked the homeowner for gas. And he also asked the homeowner to not call the police. Now, I don't know about you. Somebody tells me not to call the cops. I'm going to get a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. The truck had been reported stolen earlier in the week. Deputies arrived at the home Saturday evening because the person who was told, "Hey, don't call the cops, man." Like, "Hey, you be cool. Just don't call the police." He called the police. And deputies arrived, and the truck was found with a different license plate. The driver was identified as Michael Jackson. Not that one. He was arrested for possessing. He was arrested for possessing stolen property. So yeah, hey man, I need 2 favors. Number 1, I need a little fuel. You got any gas? Number 2, can you not call the police? Can you please not call the police? Like, somebody asked me to call the police, I'm going to call the police. Like, okay, you are a neighbor and you are in need and you need a hand, and that hand, our finest, can give to you if I dial 911 for you. I got you. You tell me not to call the cops, I'm going to have a follow-up question at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So, the guy stole a truck, and his name was Michael Jackson, and he told his neighbor, or this gentleman he drove up on, "Hey, can you not call the police?" Yeah, bad strategy. What is your story today?
Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to the 785. They actually texted in.
Yes, we had a text submission today. We're going to use the story. You can always text us or leave us submissions for what is wrong with you.
So we're going to go to Davenport, Florida. A Davenport McDonald's employee and 2 customers are facing charges after an argument in the drive-thru line ended with a shooting inside the store on early Sunday morning, according to the Polk County Sheriff's Department. Peter Story and Nicholas Jones were in the drive-thru and became frustrated with Johan Soto when he said that they were extremely busy and they weren't accepting orders, and that arrest affidavit said. During the argument, a store manager told deputies that Story and Jones threatened to beat Soto's butt and said that they would wait in the parking lot for his shift to end. The 2 then entered the store and got in a verbal confrontation with Soto and had to be separated by the store manager. During the physical altercation, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, yes, the great Grady Judd, says that one of the men mentioned having a switch and a 30 clip, end quote. That is when Soto grabbed a gun from the back of the store and pointed it at Story and Jones. Surveillance video shows Soto advancing on Jones and pushing him back towards Story. A physical struggle happened, and then the gun discharged. quote, he had a right to stand his ground and protect himself. These guys are threatening to do violence after they have already threatened on the outside of the store and came inside. Judd said they created a well-found fear in him and the store manager, and it was a mess. We will sort it out because we are McGood at investigating McCrime. That is
Grady.
That is Grady Judd for you.
Another Grady heater.
Story was struck in the neck by a shot, and authorities say the injury is not life-threatening. He is expected to make a full recovery. After the incident, Soto collected the shell casing on the floor and told an employee that it, quote, belonged to him. Soto was charged with tampering with physical evidence. Jones and Story were charged with disorderly conduct and trespassing and failing to leave after warning. Jones is 18, Story is 20, and Soto is 21.
Kids being stupid.
Yes. Just the Grady Judd.
So does every McDonald's in Florida have a blick under the counter just to settle some disputes?
I guess.
Yeah. You get a little aggro about the cream machine not working, and
look, if it gets messy at McDonald's, they gotta have the gun.
Gotta pull out the regulator. Yeah. Two good stories today. I feel bad either one of these has to lose. What's your lean, Spencer?
I don't know. I think the dude pulled out the gun, and while he was trying to get them to get out of a store, and then he shot it. Then he picked it up and said, "This is mine."
Yeah, so that's how he got in trouble.
Yes,
he wasn't in trouble for shooting the guy.
Dude didn't get in trouble for shooting, and then he picked this. I'm going to side with this because there's multiple. What is wrong with these in this story?
So yeah, we'll go with that one. We'll go with the McMess. That'll be our winner for what is wrong with you today. When we come back, what did we learn about the Big 12 on the gridiron this weekend? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. 441 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Spencer with you. Text line's open, 785-272-9429. Cop in the YouTube comments as well. KU and K-State both off, but it was an interesting weekend in the Big 12 outside of that. Two big games on Big Fox, Arizona State, Texas Tech, and BYU, Utah in the Holy War. Tech suffered their first loss of the season. Arizona State coming away with the win in that game. Frantic finish. Tech took the lead late. Arizona State tried to give it away, but the Sun Devils would drive for the winning score, 26-22. They win it. And BYU held off Utah 24-21 in the Holy War. So what we learned from the Big 12 this weekend? We'll start with that Tech-Arizona State game. My takeaway is as long as Texas Tech has rancid fumble luck and their backup quarterback is playing, they are beatable. They, for the first 6 games of their schedule, did not look particularly beatable. But my belief from the Utah game that maybe Will Hammond should be the guy under center for Texas Tech. Yeah, I was wrong. You know, the best thing that ever happened for Baron Morton's reputation was that performance by Will Hammond on Saturday. You watch that and you think, well, maybe Baron Morton is real good.
Yeah.
Because Will Hammond was not. He made one big-time throw. It was a go-ahead touchdown pass. A big-time throw. I'll give him credit where it's due. He ended up with 22 of 37 for 167, 2 touchdowns, a pick, got sacked twice. Tech never got their running game going, averaged just 4 yards a carry after they did whatever they wanted to the Kansas front the week before. Arizona State had Sam Leavitt back, and he was terrific, 319 yards through the air and a touchdown. Just made winning plays, got the ball to Jordan Tyson, who was the best offensive player on the field for either team, 10 for 105 and a score for him. Certainly, reports of Arizona State's demise may have been a little bit exaggerated or at least a little bit premature. And Texas Tech, beatable after all. Although I do think that there were some big moments in that game where the ball was on the deck. And I think Arizona State recovered. They recovered a fumble down inside the 5. I remember that. That was a pretty critical moment in the game. But the fumble luck really went Arizona State's way in that game. I didn't leave that game feeling like, oh, Arizona State's better than Texas Tech. I left that game feeling like Baron Morton gets healthy. Texas Tech, I don't think, has another loss on their schedule. As far as the BYU-Utah game, so my takeaway for Utah is like Devin Dampier is really good as long as he doesn't have any pressure. And I mean like physical, like pass rush pressure, but I also mean game pressure. Dampier threw a terrible interception in the fourth quarter of that game. Just awful, awful throw. And the games where Utah has lost, because outside of their 2 losses, they've pretty much crushed to everybody they've played. However, the everybody they've played in the league that isn't the teams that have beaten them are West Virginia, who's awful, and Arizona State without Leavitt. And that's it. But that's the list. So maybe we overreact a little bit to Utah. I'm a little surprised that they haven't been able to protect Dampier better. I really thought that Utah offensive line would be the best one in the conference. But here's the flip side of this. BYU's just good. Like, no qualifier necessary. And many people, myself included, have been waiting all year for a game where, well, you know, they're going to put BYU under the pressure and Bear Bachmeier is going to have to make some big-time throws in a close game. Well, maybe not. Maybe BYU is just going to control every game they play in, and they're not going to make Bear Bachmeier make a big throw. And he made a couple of nice throws in that game. It's very hard for me to wrap my mind around a guy wearing number 47 playing quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I feel like it is a violation. I can't get used to it. And I've been saying all year something to the effect of, you know, it's appropriate he wears 47 because he's out there like a tight end or a fullback who got asked to fill in at quarterback for a game.
Like your emergency third in the fourth quarter.
And I still kind of feel that way watching him play sometimes. But here's the thing. He's good at what they ask him to do. They run the ball really effectively, whether it's him or LJ Martin. And look, you can win a Big 12 championship with a quarterback who plays like a fullback. You know kind of what Colin Klein was, right? Like, we can be honest about that. We're a decade removed from the 2013 Big 12 champion Kansas State Wildcats. Colin Klein was not exactly like Peyton Manning as a college quarterback, but he would run through you to win. He would make the critical play with his legs. And if you paid his running ability too much respect, or more accurately, if you did not respect his throwing ability enough, he was capable of making the play with his arm to keep a drive alive. And Kansas State in 2013 just had that control of games throughout their Big 12 schedule that allowed them to win the Big 12 championship that year. That's what BYU is doing. They are just in control of games. They're controlling the line of scrimmage. They're taking care of the football. They're just good, man. They know who they are. And that's so valuable in this conference, is to just go into every game and know exactly who you are and what you have to do to win and who your playmakers are and how to get them the ball. They don't overcomplicate it. And they play some physical, smart, tough football. They've got a hell of a home field advantage. They're 7-0 and it feels real. Right now, I would say comfortably, like, I'm not willing to dethrone Texas Tech at the top of my power rank. I don't have power ranking, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Like, I still consider Texas Tech to be the best team in the league, the best collection of talent in the league. A 4-point road loss to another good team with your backup quarterback is not enough for me to decide, well, actually, I'm going to drop them some spots. But I think BYU's second best team, and I have no problem saying that I expect right now that it will be Texas Tech and BYU potentially playing for the conference championship. Now, the matter that gets interesting in that regard is that BYU has to go to the two unbeaten teams left in the league right now, Texas Tech and, quick, who's the other undefeated Big 12 team?
BYU?
Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Bearcats.
Yeah.
It's got fighting Scott Satterfields. Yeah. So they have to go to Cincinnati. They have to go to Texas Tech. And this Saturday they go to Ames, which is no picnic. So BYU still has some very, very difficult games ahead of them.
Because they're now ranked too, Cincinnati is.
Yeah, Cincinnati's in the top 25. So they got to go play two teams in the top 25, plus a team that spent time in the top 25. Plus they got TCU at home. Like, their next four games are not a picnic, but BYU can win big games. And Bachmeier is not the, what is the word? He's not the hurdle. He's not the impediment. That's the word. He is not the impediment to winning those close games that I thought he was going to be. In fact, he's really the reason that they're winning some of these games. So huge credit to him. He's a tough kid. And just wish he'd wear a quarterback's number, man. Just really, really do not like number 47. Other takeaways from the Big 12 weekend. If you loved David Beatty era KU football, nobody loved David Beatty era KU football. But if you remember what that looked like, the next closest thing is unfolding week in and week out with Oklahoma State. This is the worst Big 12 team since the Beatty era Jayhawks. They lost 49-17 to Cincinnati. And the scores of the games that they're playing this year, they look like David Beatty Kansas scores. 49-17, 39-17, 41-13, 45-27, 69-3 that lost to Oregon back in week 2. They go to Tech this Saturday. Tech could play me at quarterback and win that game. I don't know that there's a conference win on their schedule. They got Kansas State at home. That might be their best chance, honestly, given K-State's track record in Stillwater and the fact that that's their second to last home game. But, like, they're not going to beat Kansas and Lawrence. They're not going to beat UCF. They're not going to beat Iowa State. They can play that game on the moon. This is the worst Big 12 team we've seen in about a decade or so. Just awful. Good at nothing. Bill Connolly has his SP Plus numbers and does those numbers for all levels of college football. And right now, of 766 college football teams in the country, Oklahoma State ranks 3 spots better than Ferris State, the number 1 team in Division II. So if they played on a neutral field, according to the numbers, Oklahoma State would be favored by 1 over Ferris State. That's where the pokes are. One last takeaway from the Big 12 weekend. Shout out to Willie Fritz, because he's got Houston Bowl eligible. The Cougs have been 4-8 the last 2 years. They are now 6-1. And look, we have to be honest about what that 6-1 is for Houston, because their wins this year are against Colorado, losing record, Oklahoma State, poop. Arizona is the only team with a winning record they have beat, because they also have wins over Stephen F. Austin and Rice and Oregon State, who's been awful, and they're 0-7 and fired their coach. And when they played a real team, Texas Tech, they got blown off the face of the earth. And they still have to go to Arizona State. They still play TCU and Baylor. That I think are going to be tough games for them. But still, I think it's a 7-5, 8-4. That's the program moving in the right direction. There's a lot of want to at Houston. There's a lot of money at Houston. And clearly they have the coach. I still think that's something like a sleeping giant program in the Big 12. I really do. And they clearly have the right guy. Willie Fritz has them moving in the right direction. So, shout out to Houston getting bowl eligible this season. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Quick look at the status of the 580 Picks contest this week. Another rough week for the crew.
Yeah.
Another rough week. We got me with a chance at a winning record. That's not what I promised you, though.
Yeah,
I promised you
really
5-0. I pointed to the center field bleachers, and I hit a little blooper that might fall in between the shortstop and the center fielder, and it might not. We'll see. Seattle's got to cover -3 tonight for me to have a winning week. Misplaced faith in Will Hammond. Tennessee +8.5 was a bad choice. Overhitting TCU BYU though, or not, Baylor though. That was we had mentioned that game in our thoughts on the Big 12 real fast. Borrowed time for Dave Aranda. This was like we talk about disappointing Big 12 teams, and that conversation begins with Kansas State certainly, but you got to throw Baylor in that mix as well. They're pretty much out of the title race now, and that's not what it was supposed to be for Baylor this year, and it kind of feels like that's where they're stuck as a program. Like they might win some games here down the stretch, but not good enough to compete, and defensively not good enough. And when you are the defensive-minded head coach and your defense stinks, what is it that you say you do there? So, that was not a great loss for Baylor. At least it took forever because of the multiple weather delays. Spencer 2-3 this week.
Hey, look,
Marshall covered.
Look,
Commanders
I started out 2-0. It was a great Saturday because Ohio State, they scored a couple more touchdowns than they needed.
Yeah. They took
And
it easy on Luke Fickell, but not too easy.
Yeah, they didn't allow a touchdown.
I told you I liked that pick. That was a good pick.
Yeah, and then by Marshall, they win every time almost. And shout out to them, big overtime win against Texas State. They're back. They could go. Things are aligning for them to go back to a Sun Belt Conference championship.
Brendan went 1-4. 1-1 with his Sun Belt picks. Misplaced faith in Spencer Rattler.
Hold on, can we go back to his Sun Belt picks? I don't know how Troy was only favored by 5.5. They blew out ULM.
Yeah, they annihilated the Warhawks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not such luck for App State. They blew that game to Coastal.
And then they had a fight at the end of that game?
Oh, I did not see that. Thank you, Sunbelt insider Spencer Dupuis. Do you have any details on the fight?
No, I just know because Marshall's playing at Coastal on next Thursday.
Could be some suspensions.
Next Thursday.
Ooh, a little Thursday night. herd.
A little Thursday night Sunbelt action.
We'll look forward to that. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Lots of college football in there to get to, including some K-State football injury news. And a native Kansan and former Jayhawk gets a big bag in the NBA. We'll discuss that and do a playoff roundup. Plus, big questions from Week 7 of the NFL and our final thoughts on the Chiefs on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour on a Victory Monday on 580 Sports Talk. So glad you're with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis here with you for one more hour on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our live stream, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. We're with you till 6. Then it's Chiefs Kingdom with Mitch Holtis. Then it's a full night of football from Westwood One. We'll join Lions Bucks in progress and bring you in full the late game, the nightcap, Seahawks and Texans. A 9 p.m. kick for that one. I don't know that I have it in me, to be completely honest with you, Spencer. That might be one I got to tap out on, maybe DVR the second half.
Yeah, I already told myself I'm not watching that game tonight, or at least more than the first hour.
Our little one had a bit of a fussy night last night, so my wife and I are both up at around 3:30. So that's just reality, man. That's just what it is. Like, at some point, it just becomes part and parcel of the experience. Like, yes, my head will hit the pillow at X, but it's going to be at least one time he wakes up because he's lost his pacifier, or because his feet are cold, or because he just wants a hug. And, you deal with it, and you hope that your legs and arms don't fall asleep while you're holding him or rubbing his back. And then you trudge back to bed, and you hope you can fall back to sleep. My wife's a pro. My wife can fall asleep at the drop of a hat. Almost, I'm envious of it, to be completely honest with you, because I can't. Sometimes I get up and then my brain starts functioning again, and I have trouble getting it to turn off.
I woke up twice last night in the middle of the night. I'll be able to tell you some exact times. I keep so we have a Ring camera at home.
Okay.
And overnight, I keep the notifications on because, specifically for that app. 2:32, there was apparently movement at our front door. Nothing.
Huh.
I don't know if the wind triggered it or something, because it was pretty windy. And then again at 4:58 or 4:48, there was apparently movement.
Well, was that maybe a glitch because of the AWS going down today? Was that part of it?
Maybe, but it comes on so I can look at it. So I don't know.
Sure.
But I would up and I started freaking out, and then I'm like, what's going on? And then
that would worry me. That would concern me as well. I totally understand where you're coming from there. Here in the 5 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk, we'll have some big questions from Week 7 of the National Football League and some final thoughts on the Chiefs' win over the Raiders. Such a fun game, and so little to say about it in the end because the Raiders were barely there and the Chiefs were so good. There's but so many ways you can say the Chiefs were really, really good. Hey, the Chiefs were really, they were really freaking good. But we'll do that at least one more time before we get off the air today. And we got 580 Sports Talk headlines here coming in just a moment, including a playoff roundup. We want to hear from you in this final hour of the show. Make your voice heard. Make yourself known. Holler at us in the text line, 785-272-9429. If you're watching on YouTube right now, there is a live chat feature. Leave some thoughts in the live chat. Hey, if you're watching on Facebook, you can comment on the Facebook stream as well, WIBW News on Facebook. But we want to hear from you if you are watching the show on YouTube today. Jump in that live chat. Say hello. Interact with your fellow listeners throughout this final hour of the show. And if you're not watching on YouTube, why not? Give it a shot. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel today. Let's do those headlines, shall we? You got a lot of college football stuff to get to today, so we'll try and divide and conquer it the best that we can. We'll keep it local for the first set of headlines here. Big 12 TV selections for November 1st, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday. And for everybody but Oklahoma State and Kansas, you're going to have to wait because every other game is on a 6-day selection for the conference and its TV partners.
Has that happened recently?
Not this year. This is the first time this year that we've had any games held for the 6-day selection in the Big 12. That includes Texas Tech at Kansas State. Also includes Arizona at Colorado, Arizona State at Iowa State, UCF at Baylor, Cincinnati at Utah, West Virginia at Houston. Oklahoma State at Kansas is an ESPN Plus game at 3 o'clock. And you know what? I'm fine with that because nobody should have to be accidentally exposed to Oklahoma State football. That is something you should be seeking out, and there should be a Surgeon's General warning. if you are exposing yourself to Oklahoma State football. But anyway, that game's at the Booth, and it'll be a 3 p.m. kick Saturday, November 1st. Of course, Kansas State this Saturday is an 11 a.m. kickoff at the Booth, which means pregame coverage here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 from the K-State Sports Network from Learfield will get underway at 9 a.m. But we won't know when K-State and Tech will play until next Sunday.
Or Saturday night, they'll say.
Could be as soon as Saturday night. Speaking of Kansas State, we did get some injury news today from Chris Kleiman in his weekly press conference. It is not good news for defensive end Toby Osunsomni. He will, in fact, miss the rest of the season with the undisclosed injury that he suffered against Baylor. There was some hope coming out of the Baylor loss that maybe he could return by the end of the year, but it sounds like he's going to have surgery and will keep him out for the rest of what was becoming a breakout 2025 campaign for the former Wichita East Blue Ace. Speaking of K-Staters from the Wichita area, doesn't sound like Dylan Edwards is going to play on Saturday. I want to make sure I can get something approximating the quote from Chris Kleiman today, but I believe what he said was something along the line of, if Edwards plays, it would be a bonus. And that is not what you really want to hear about a player of that level of importance to your team. If you are the Wildcats, looking to see if I can't find some of the quotes here. Here it is from Kleiman, and I had it about exactly right. Quote, "We're going with the assumption that he probably won't play. If he does, it's a bonus to us." Kleiman went on to say, "Joe is doing a good job," referring to Joe Jackson. Devon Rice doing a good job. Avery has got to be able to carry the football a little bit. Blake Barnett has got to be able to carry the football a little. There are a lot of different things that go into it.
Now, is this just coach speak against trying to not let the opponent know, or are we serious? We don't know.
I think this is a we don't know situation. And again, there are some things that go into it that have nothing to do with health. As we spoke with Tim Fitzgerald, our K-State insider from GoPowerCat.com last week, Dylan Edwards has played in 4 games for Kansas State this year. If he plays in 5, he cannot redshirt. I am of the mind that if Dylan Edwards is not playing college football or is not playing at Kansas State next year, it is because he is playing professional football. I think he's 3 years, and I think that he would maybe take a swing at the NFL level. Even if he's not the biggest guy, he certainly has the speed and I think the overall ability to get a look from an NFL team. I think that's a more likely denouement to that story than Dylan Edwards takes a red shirt and goes and plays college football next year, unless there's a big bag waiting for him at some other Power 5 institution, which is not impossible. I'm not saying there's a 0% chance. I'm just saying this is sort of my understanding / prognostication of the matter. But certainly a non-zero chance we've seen Dylan Edwards play his last game at Kansas State. If and when that proves itself to be true, I'll tell you what I think about that when that happens. But right now, all we know and all we can prove is that Dylan Edwards has a bulky ankle that unfortunately he suffered on the very first snap of his season, returning that punt in the mist and the rain and the sloppy field in Ireland. And it has totally submarined what I thought was going to be a really, really special year for both him and for Kansas State. That's all we know. And so there's no sense in commenting on theoreticals. I just have the guess that maybe there is a chance that Dylan Edwards is keeping his powder dry for either a red shirt or just taking it to the NFL next year, which he would be eligible to do. That's a possibility, but that's all it is a hypothetical. And I'm not going to get worked up about a hypothetical. Anyway, big bummer if he can't go. Big bummer that Toby Osunsomni is out for the season for K-State. Let's get to some more college football as we move on our headlines, Spencer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we are in the show. That's why I'm not talking as much today. Let's get Look, I'll hit the coaches because it's a little less talking than you can hit the AP. It is that time of year in college football where teams are trying to pony up some money from their fan base, their financial support, and they did so as Billy Napier has been fired at Florida. Jay Norvell also out of Colorado State. Mike Norvell will be fired at Florida State. They just can't do it yet.
Yeah, they can't afford it yet. They owe him $54 million in buyout money right now.
Yeah,
and that number goes up to $72 million if his staff is fired. So we heard today from the Florida State athletic director, and we also heard from the Wisconsin athletic director, who released a letter and a statement in support of their beleaguered, embattled head coach Luke Fickell. And explicitly what the Wisconsin's athletic director's letter said was, we are standing behind our head coach, and we hope you will stand behind us with financial support for this program. Left unsaid was the second part of that sentence, because we need money to pay the buyout when we fire Luke Fickell. Like that's what's happening there. That is, and I think Florida State is doing the same thing. Like, look, we ain't got it right now. We got to make sure our ducks are in the row. Like, this was not a problem for Penn State. Penn State got their money men on the horn, and they said, all right, we're going to come up with this $49 million. We can't do this James Franklin thing anymore. It's best to just cut bait now. We got to come up with this $49 million. And they did. They came up with a $49 million. They fired James Franklin. So that's what it's really about. It's less, is this coach going to get fired? If you missed it, and you probably did because you went to bed. I went to bed. I missed it. I couldn't believe the score was real. Florida State lost to Stanford on Saturday night. They are 0-4 in the ACC. I don't know what Florida State football should be, because they weren't really anything, and then there was the Bobby Bowden era, and then they won a national championship under Jimbo. So, like, it's not just a one-coach thing, at the very least. But I don't know, like, broadly, like, what the expectation for Florida State football should be every year. I just know it can't be that.
You know it's bad. So there's a content creator on YouTube and TikTok. His name's GFed. He goes around to college campuses. Right now he's doing 100.
Okay, yeah, I've seen this guy. He sneaks into stadiums.
Well, not sneaking anymore. Now he's doing 100 stadiums in 100 days.
Okay.
Going to games and hooking up with athletic departments, getting tours, showing off. Like last week he was in Texas showing off all the Big 12 Texas schools. Well, he's in Florida.
Okay.
He was supposed to go to Florida State yesterday. He got to campus, and he called his contact, and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, there's too much optics right now. We can't have you do this."
That's tough.
So they let him take a picture of the stadium, and that was it. And then he left.
Yeah. Text from 75 points out, Florida State was talk of the town. Week one college football, they beat Alabama, and now they want to fire their coach. Yeah, there's always stuff that happens early in a college football season that stands out as being weird when you look back at the full season. That's going to be the weird one, is Florida State, Thomas Castellanos running roughshod over an Alabama team that right now might be the second best team in the country. Ohio State's number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
But I think if you made me say who I think the second best team in the country is right now, I think it's Alabama. They crushed Tennessee. And I think Ty Simpson is legitimately good at quarterback. And I don't know how many contenders have quarterbacks I could say, like, I really like this kid at quarterback, but I really like Ty Simpson. So, things can change in a hurry. Speaking of programs in Florida, Billy Napier did get fired. Florida did find the buyout money. They were going to do that last year, and he saved his job with a good run of late season results. It didn't get better this year. They won on Saturday, and they still fired Napier.
Yeah.
They beat Mississippi State. They still fired Billy Napier. Just one of those things. It couldn't continue. That's another program. Like, historically, weren't great. Then Steve Spurrier showed up, and they won a national championship. Then they weren't great again. Then Urban Meyer showed up, and they won national championships. And they haven't been great since Urban Meyer left. So what is, like, I feel like Florida's got a pretty high ceiling for what their program could be. Maybe it's just a lower floor than people want to admit. Maybe it's a harder job than people want to admit. But that'll be a fascinating one with regard to where Florida goes from there. Speaking of college football, we'll swing to the AP Top 25 real quick. Mentioned Ohio State, number one with a bullet. They got 60 of the 66 first place votes. The other 6 first place votes went to Indiana. That is the world that we live in.
Let's go.
There are 6 unbeatens remaining in college football. 5 of them are ranked. The one who isn't is Navy.
What are we doing? Rank Navy.
Seriously.
Rank Navy.
You don't need to put Illinois in the top 25 again. We've been doing that in and out all year. We know what they are. Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M also undefeated. They're up to number 3. Alabama and Georgia round out the top 5. Speaking of Georgia, I was never really big on Gunnar Stockton. Now I kind of get it after that game. That was an awesome game against Ole Miss.
It really was.
So Georgia's up to number 5. Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Miami, and Vanderbilt 6 through 10. Highest ranked Big 12 team this week is BYU. They are up to number 11. And Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Texas Tech dropped 7 spots for a 4-point loss on the road with their backup quarterback. That feels extreme to me. That feels a little unfair, but it is what it is. Texas Tech 14, Mizzou number 15, 16 through 20, Virginia, Tennessee, South Florida, Louisville back in the poll this week. One of 4 new teams this week. LSU dropped 10 spots, number 20. They lost to Vanderbilt. That's the world we live in. Indiana, number 2, Georgia Tech, number 7, Vanderbilt, number 10. It's kind of fun, actually. Although, if this happened on your video game dynasty, you'd complain that the video game wasn't realistic enough. You'd write EA Sports an angry letter. The rest of the top 25, Cincinnati remains in the poll. They're up 3 spots, number 21. Texas at number 22. They are miserable. Arch Manning stinks. Like, it's official. They went to Tennessee. They went to Kentucky. They couldn't move the ball. Arch was terrible. They won anyway because Kentucky's awful too. But can
we get some more training sessions from Peyton and Eli?
Arch can't play, man. Like the mechanics are a mess. Like every now and again, he's got a little bit of the football computer brain that his uncles had, and you can see it with some of the anticipation throws he makes. But his mechanics stink. Like he
Do you
looks
think
like
he leaves Texas?
No,
you don't think they tell him to leave?
Leave Texas, maybe. That's a more interesting question. He's not leaving college. He's not going pro.
No. I meant, do you think he gets told to leave the team and he drops down to a lower tier?
Does he transfer? Is an interesting question.
Yeah.
I would lean no, but non-zero chance. Illinois, Arizona State, Michigan round out the top 25. Arizona State back into the poll. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4 Big 12 teams in this week's top 25. I am, to answer a question from the 785, I'm eating a certain amount of crow about Indiana. Like I did. I thought Oregon would beat them, and they did not. Indiana is legitimately good. I never said they weren't legitimately good. I just felt like when they played a better team, and I thought Oregon was better, that they would turtle up because that's what they did last year when they played better teams. Apparently, Indiana was better than Oregon. Will Indiana play a team that's better than them the rest of their schedule? No, they won't. They should be 12-0 going in the playoff. Honest to goodness. They rejuvenated UCLA this week. That's big noon, by the way. UCLA playing at 9 a.m. Pacific time is some nasty work. Indiana might put 60 on them. Then they go to Maryland, and not September Maryland, who is unbeatable. October Maryland. Well, I guess technically November Maryland. Now Maryland's in the gutter.
Who can't win?
Then they go to Penn State. Yikes. Then they got Wisconsin. Oh, no. Then they go to Purdue. They're going to win their final 5 games by an average score of like 55-21. They're just going to pile drive teams. But then they'll get into the playoff, and then maybe they'll play Notre Dame again, or maybe they'll play Ohio State, or they'll play Ohio State in conference championship game, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
I still think Cignetti's a lot of talk. I don't like Kurt Cignetti. I'll say that. I don't like Kurt Cignetti. So I'm rooting for him to lose. But
I don't.
Yeah,
why do you hate Cignetti? Dude's done it from the bottom. He went from the bottom. I
can admire that, and not like him. I can admire his grind and not like him. I think he's mouthy and the little arrogant. Lot of hat, not a lot of cattle. So that's my opinion of Kurt Cignetti. A couple of more quick ones to get to before playoff roundup. Shout out to the pride of Blue Valley Northwest and the University of Kansas. Christian Brown is a rich man today. Signed a 5-year, $125 million extension with the Denver Nuggets at the deadline for players drafted in his draft year to sign long-term rookie extensions. Brown gets the 5-year, $125 million extension from the Denver Nuggets. He should buy Nikola Jokic something nice. That's not to say that
Yeah.
Jokic is the only reason Christian Brown is getting paid, but he's a reason. Also, quick trip to the winner's circle. Chase Briscoe, a winner in overtime at Talladega on Sunday, and that secures Briscoe's spot into the championship deciding season finale. He joins Denny Hamlin with the guaranteed slots in the 4-driver winner-take-all finale at Phoenix in 2 weeks. A dramatic finish at Talladega sees Chase Briscoe earn the win. Now to the playoff roundup. We got the 2 greatest words in sports tonight. Hit me.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Game 7 in the American League Championship Series tonight between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. A 7:10 Central Time first pitch. George Kirby on the hill for Seattle. Shane Bieber gets the start for Toronto. Toronto won last night to stave off elimination 6-2 following a loss by that same score in Game 5 in Seattle. One of the wildest scenes, probably the wildest scene in Seattle baseball history, or in recent Seattle baseball history. Shout out to 1995 with Eugenio Suarez's go-ahead grand slam in the bottom of the 8th, putting the Mariners 1 win away from their first ever pennant, the closest they've ever been to tasting the sweet nectar of the Fall Classic. But the Blue Jays denied them last night with a 6-2 win. They jumped on top of Logan Gilbert early with a pair of runs in the 2nd and the 3rd inning. Did burn their closer, Jeff Hoffman. He got the final 6 outs of the game. Hard to imagine he'll be available or as effective tonight for the Blue Jays should they need him. Game 7 of that series. Either the Blue Jays break a World Series or a pennant drought going back to 1993, or the Mariners break a pennant drought going back to their existence, their entire existence, starting in 1977. Either way, if you know a fan of one of those teams and they lose, be ready with a hug tomorrow, because whoever loses this game is going to need a hug. The winner will move on to play the Dodgers, who finished up a sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers following, is it the greatest individual performance in the history of sports, what Shohei Ohtani did on Friday? Given the stakes and the spotlight, Ohtani throwing 6 shutout innings and striking out 10 and hitting 3 home runs in the pennant clincher.
This is what I hoped for when we had when Ohtani was the dual threat guy that he is, the guy that does both. This is what I wanted to see, a game where he could do what he did on the mound and hit homers.
There have been people I have watched in my lifetime who I felt like mastered baseball, which is not a sport you can master. Like, it's a sport of failure, right? The best guys fail 7 out of 10 times at their objective, the best hitters. There are 3 people I have watched in my lifetime and thought they broke baseball. Pedro Martinez in 1999 with the Red Sox. Barry Bonds in the early 2000s when he was getting on base more often than he was making outs. And before you mentioned the steroids, there were a lot of guys on steroids in that era. There was still only one Barry Bonds. If the steroids were a magic bullet, trust me, there were a lot of no-names who got suspended that would have been out there hitting 70 home runs. There was only one Barry Bonds. Steroids and all. There was still only one Barry Bonds. And now there's Shohei Ohtani. And I have a hard time believing there's been anybody better at the sport of baseball than Shohei Ohtani is. And this is going to be the guy, like, he's a living myth. Like, God willing, one day I have grandchildren and I will tell them I was alive for Shohei Ohtani.
Exactly.
Like, just like maybe you out there had a grandparent who was alive to have seen Babe Ruth. Like, that's what it will be like. He is a living myth. They will not believe us when we tell the next generations about what Shohei Ohtani was. Yeah. He is special. Here's a stat, though, for you. 4 previous times in the best of 7 league championship series era, one of the series has been a sweep and the other has gone 7 games. This will be the 5th time. Dodgers swept the Brewers. This series, whoever wins it, will win it in 7 games. Happened in 2012 when the Tigers swept the Yankees and the Giants beat the Cardinals in 7 in the NLCS. It happened in 2007 when the Rockies swept the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox came back from 3-1 down to beat Cleveland. It happened in 2006 when the Tigers swept the A's in the ALCS, series-ending walk-off grand slam by Maglio Ordonez, and the Cardinals beat the Mets in 7 games. Adam Wainwright's curveball froze Carlos Beltran. And it happened in 1988 when the Dodgers beat the Mets in 7 and the A's swept the Red Sox. What do all 4 of those years have in common? The team that swept the championship series lost the World Series to the team that played a 7-game league championship series. Just something to think about before you're so quick to crown the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Flip side, Dodgers are going to win the World Series, whoever they play against.
What does it matter?
They're the freaking Monstars. That's it for the playoff roundup. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little NFL Week 7 after this on 580 Sports Talk. Before we depart fully from college football, one more shout out to the Washburn Ichabods. 8 turnovers forced, program record, in a 37-17 win over Central Missouri on Saturday. That was a way to celebrate Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah.
Really happy for Zach Watkins and that program. They have needed some breaks. They have been in a lot of close games against good teams, just haven't gotten the break. They got a whole lot of breaks. They got about 8 breaks.
Yeah.
8 turnovers on Saturday, and hopefully that's the one that gets things rolling in a positive direction for the Ichabods. No question about that.
I think it's good too. You got a lot of people there that might necessarily not have been at a normal game. That's not the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, good
so
crowd.
Hey, you can see firsthand the development and the rebuilding of the program.
Let's sprint through 5 big questions from Week 7 of the National Football League. Question number 1, do the Indianapolis Colts have the best offense in football? Because it kind of feels like they might have the best offense in football. And it's not just me asking the question. Bill Barnwell has his Monday column at ESPN.com today, and he refers to the Colts offense as the best in football. They are scoring 3.5 points per possession this season. Baseline is better than a field goal every time they have the ball. By that metric, the Chiefs are in second place here, which may not surprise you to hear. The Chiefs are closer to 13th place than they are to first place. The Colts are lapping the field in that department. They also lead the league in EPA, expected points added per play. And yeah, early in the season, it was fair to look at the Colts and say, well, it was against the Dolphins, against the Titans, it was against the Raiders. Chargers came in playing some pretty good defense this season, and Colts went through them like water in a 38-24 victory yesterday. I don't know what was uglier, the Chargers' defensive performance of those bananas in pajamas ass uniforms they were wearing yesterday. Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah. So do you remember when Color Rush was a thing in the NFL?
I do.
The Commanders were given these Color Rush jerseys. They never wore them because they looked almost exactly like that.
They look really bad, look like
Yeah.
the Minions. It's stupid looking. But no, I think we have to get to the point where, yeah, this is real with the Colts. I think it's a lot of scheme. I think it's a lot of Jonathan Taylor. And I think that Daniel Jones is just, he's been handed the keys and just asked to, hey, don't drive us into any telephone poles. And he's done a good job avoiding the telephone poles so far. That's a real team. They're 6-1 right now. They're leading the entire AFC. It's obviously not a great division, but when they get past the Titans, Matt Verderame made this point when we talked to him earlier today. From that point forward, they don't have any layups. They're done with the Titans, so they've got divisional games against the Jaguars and Texans. And the Jaguars, they've got some problems. We'll get to them in a second, but they still have an excellent defense. They got to play the Steelers on the road, the Falcons at home, the Chiefs on the road, the Texans twice, the Seahawks on the road with a very good defense, and the 49ers with a very good team. So their mettle will certainly be tested, and they'll teams will have film, and we'll see what happens in the second half. But right now, the numbers don't lie. Right now, they feel like the best offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
Give them a ton of credit.
Yeah.
Question number 2, what the hell happened in Denver? 33 fourth quarter points for the Denver Broncos in a 33-32 win over the New York Giants yesterday. It is the second most points ever scored in a quarter of an NFL game. And it came after Denver had scored 0 points. You may have been able to deduce that math. They scored 33 in the game. They scored 33 in the fourth quarter. They got blanked in the first 3 quarters. Bo Nix was 27 of 50 passing for 279 yards. That's not real impressive, but he threw for 2 touchdowns and he ran for 2 touchdowns. And you give them credit where it's due that they did go out and they won the game. And they've done this now twice to NFC East teams where they've had big fourth quarter comebacks after not doing anything on offense for the first 3 quarters. But eventually they're going to have to do something on offense in the first 3 quarters.
All I know is that if you're a Denver Broncos fan, you can be late to turn on your TV and you can be late to go to the game.
I guess so. So the Broncos had their Super Bowl 50 team reunion yesterday, and they were also honoring Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, they put him into the Ring of Fame.
The late Demaryius Thomas. Maybe people forgot he died not long after his playing career. I think he had a seizure in the shower and fell and passed away. Terrible, terrible tragedy. But I think it was fitting that it was a game that where they honored Demaryius Thomas, that this all happened, because Tim Tebow only looked like a competent NFL player when he was throwing to Demaryius Thomas. And this was the most Tim Tebow-ass Tim Tebow game that I've ever seen. This was more Tebow than any of the Tebow games that Tebow played in. Where it's like, oh, you do nothing. You're awful for 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, it's like magic. Like, I don't have a better word to describe it other than just magic. That and the New York kicker, who I think is still employed, and I don't know why, missing 2 extra points. If he doesn't do that, maybe they're still playing. Who knows? Third question from the NFL weekend. Are the Cowboys good or are the Commanders too banged up? It was all Cowboys in Dallas, a 44-22 win over Washington. Jaden Daniels went out at the start of the third quarter, injured his hamstring, but Dallas still had a 2-score lead going into the locker room. They're getting healthy. They got CeeDee Lamb back. He had a big touchdown in the game. But Washington right now is an absolute mash unit. I think both of those questions are probably, I would lean yes to both questions, that Dallas is playing some better football now that they're getting healthy, and Washington is just kind of running out of impact players. Not enough of them on the field right now.
Yeah, and they have guys they could go to, and I don't know why. Like Jamison Crowder was really good on the team last year for what he was. He's still a free agent. They could have signed him. They signed Robbie Chosen Anderson, and he made catches this weekend. I don't understand. It all goes back to the defense, though, because the corners cannot cover. I have a stat for you. When Washington is forced a 2nd and 12 or longer, opposing quarterbacks have completed 13 of 17 passes for 185 yards. The yardage total is second worst, ahead of only Indy. Opponents have a total QBR of 67.5 out of 100 in this situation, second worst, ahead of only Green Bay.
Wow.
And it's the corners and safeties not knowing where other guys are. a big play happened because a corner and safety ran into each other, and then it gave up a touchdown. Like, it's just little things that aren't working defensively. Also, now it doesn't help that Washington will be without their best defensive end, Dorrance Armstrong, as he suffered a season-ending knee injury.
Yeah, it's another injury at a spot they really couldn't afford to lose another guy.
And also, it's the incompetence of talking about injuries. Can we like normalize giving out time frames? Because Noah Brown went 5 weeks on the active roster, and then they put him on the IR. Terry McLaurin's been on the active roster, missed 4 games now. Could have put him on the injured reserve list. Like, there's so many things you're relying on Chris Moore to be a future Hall of Famer for you.
We've got the rest of the week to get back into the Commanders
I need a little rant.
I understand. I want to give you a little space. We got plenty of room. Obviously, the Commanders coming to Arrowhead next Monday. We'll get into them and all of the injuries. And it sounds like Jaden Daniels, not a long-term injury with the hamstring, but certainly his status for Monday night is in doubt. As for the Cowboys, we're really going to learn about them the stretch end of September, or that's wrong too. End of November into December, when they go home against the Eagles, Thanksgiving against the Chiefs, at Detroit in a 3-week stretch. And knowing that it's the November-December Cowboys, they'll probably lose all 3 of those games. But right now, that offense, I mean, they're scoring, and Dak's playing great. For whatever you or I or anyone has said about Dak Prescott, right now he's playing great football. But right now is October, and we have played that note before. So long way to go for Dallas. But yeah, they were able to take advantage of a banged up Washington team yesterday. Question number 4, you asked this exact question to Matt Verderame in the 3 o'clock hour. How is Mike McDaniel's key card still working in Miami? I think he wants to be fired. There's no buyout in the NFL, man. Just can him. What are you waiting for?
There is reporting from Adam Schefter that they're not going to make a change during the season.
That is wild to me. I think Mike McDaniel, they asked him a question today at the press conference and something about, well, I'm not going to comment about the 2 teams in the game, because to me there was really only one team in the game because we didn't really participate. Talking about his team losing 31-6 to the Browns. They lost 31-6 to Dylan Gabriel, man. Tua's getting worse. The vibes are rancid. I still like Mike McDaniel as like a person. I think he's probably a decent guy. I don't wish him ill.
No, I mean, he's come through a lot in his life.
He has. He's from my neck of the woods, man.
Yeah.
I can't speak, even though he's a Smoky Hill Buffalo, I can't speak too negatively about him. But look, man, it's over. You got to recognize that it's over. And I don't know what good it does the Dolphins to keep running him out there with these terrible vibes that currently exist around that team. They go to Atlanta next Sunday. They got the Ravens, Bills 2 weeks after that. It's only going to get worse for the Dolphins. 5th and final question. When do we stop waiting for Trevor Lawrence to put it all together?
He did on one drive.
Jaguars lost bad on Sunday morning. Maybe it's a saving grace. Nobody saw it. I should say nobody saw it, but if you didn't wake up early, you missed the game in London. They lost 35-7. Trevor Lawrence threw for 296 yards and a touchdown.
And I think it was a deep pass to Travis Hunter that was the touchdown.
Yeah, it was a long ball, a 34-yarder to Travis Hunter, about 8 catches for 101 yards. Like, they're finally using him. They took him number 2 in the draft and haven't been able to commit to a way to use him. I know it's a fun thought, the 2-way player, but maybe he's your best wide receiver and you should use him like your best wide receiver. I don't know. Maybe that'll help the team. But we keep trying to make it happen for Trevor Lawrence. We keep making excuses for Trevor Lawrence. He's 26.
Yeah.
At some point, the mistakes, they fall on him. They've changed coaches a bunch of times. This is year 5.
I mean, look, their defense overall made Matthew Stafford in the red zone look like Patrick Mahomes. Matthew Stafford's a good player.
Yeah.
But they made him look like the greatest of all time. His numbers weren't even that great.
No.
I mean, he had 182 total passing yards, was 21 of 33, had 5 touchdown passes. 5.
So my theory about the Jacksonville defense going back 3 weeks ago when they were about to play the Chiefs was correct. They are very much dependent on whether or not they turn you over. And when they don't turn you over, they can be decent, but they're not I don't think an elite defense if they're not turning you over, and they didn't turn the Rams over, and they gave up a 35 spot. So there you go. But the Jaguars have fallen to 4-3. I think that brief moment where we had to take them seriously has probably passed, although they're going to cream the Raiders the next time they play, which is in 2 weeks. Both teams are entering their bye. I just think that we got to stop with the excuses for Trevor Lawrence. Like it's year 5 for a guy who's supposed to be can't miss. Maybe we stop expecting the leap. Maybe it's just who he is. And if this is who he is, like he can start in the league. I'm not saying, oh, he's a bum, he should quit. Get ready to learn UFL, buddy. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think there's any more hills to climb for Trevor Lawrence. He just kind of is what he is. And feels like a little bit of a letdown given the expectation for him. But that's kind of where he's at. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some final thoughts on the Chiefs' dismantling of the Raiders next on 580 Sports Talk.
They load the right side up again. They single the near side. Todd Rice, touchdown! Kansas City. Rashee Rice, his second touchdown. And back, and is he back, baby? The Chiefs go on a 16-play, 94-yard drive. 3 drives, 3 long touchdown drives.
16 plays and 94 yards is bullying.
Yeah.
like that whole game, that was not even 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That was the longest NFL or shortest NFL game ever. Like the other games were still happening.
Not a whole afternoon in front of me, man. I missed those noon kickoffs. I had a great little afternoon. My wife and I took our son on a walk. It was great. I need more of those. Need more noon kickoffs.
Yeah, I had a very sad afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Chiefs were winners 31-0 over the Raiders. We're coming to a close here on 580 Sports Talk. You heard the touchdown there. Mitch Holtz with the call, Chiefs Radio Network. Rashee Rice's second touchdown catch of the game. It was a back shoulder throw, which we haven't seen Patrick Mahomes make all season. We saw him make it once in the preseason to Jason Brownlee, which was kind of funny. And he first time makes it in the regular season is to Rashee Rice. He also made the no-look throw to Rice as well. There are things that Mahomes is trusting now with this line and this receiver group. And I know, like, there was a funny thing coming out of it. There are people online saying, well, Pro Football Focus said he didn't play good, and Geno Smith actually played better. Yeah, Geno's throwing to more open guys because he's throwing 5 yards sideways behind the line of scrimmage. I'll bet Pro Football Focus like that. Pro Football Focus quarterback grades are as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop. I wouldn't look at him for more than half a millisecond. Like, you can look at him for some other things. I think they may have some interesting things to say about guys at other positions, and for like offensive line evaluations, it's as good as we've got, as good as the layman has. But their quarterback grades lie to you. They lie to your face. Just know that. They lie to your face. But like, Mahomes is trusting it at a level that I don't know that he's trusted it since he just got in the league and he didn't know what he didn't know. And he's just letting it fly like in 2018, 2019. And it is so much fun to watch him play with that confidence, play with that verve, have the freedom and the like the whole fourth down thing with him cursing into the hot mic. And then, oh yeah, hey, wait, real quick, we are going for this fourth down and getting it. Like, number one, that's kind of aggressiveness that I was hoping the Chiefs would show in this game. Keep the foot on the accelerator.
I thought they were going to take a delay of game penalty and punt it.
Yeah.
I was like, I told it over to Olivia.
I kind of thought they were going to
take a delay and punt it.
That would have been a very Andy Reid thing.
Yes.
But also giving the players, like, when the Chiefs are great, Andy Reid gives his players the freedom to go have a little fun.
Yeah.
And from the play that got whistled because of the false start, but the play to get Gardner Minshew a touchdown, to Mahomes in his acting job inspired by his State Farm commercials he said after the game, you can tell this is a Chiefs team that's finding its form and having a lot of fun doing it, and makes for a very enjoyable viewing experience watching this team right now.
Yeah.
Quick address this question from the 785. We can do this. Tex asks, when's the next really good defensive line that the Chiefs are going to face? Well, the Commanders, Deron Payne's really good, but they're banged up. They just lost Dorrance Armstrong. The Bills aren't bad. The Broncos are really good. Those are the next three on the schedule.
I mean, Payne had 3 pass deflections in the game yesterday. So
yeah, like good player.
Better get it high.
Really good player. Really good player. Like, they're going to see some really good individuals coming up in the future. Texans have a really good defensive line. They see them December 7th. So there are going to be some tests ahead for sure, but this offensive line has passed every test with flying colors and has only added to the confidence level of this Chiefs offense. And they beat the Raiders to sleep, and that is never not going to be an enjoyable thing to see. We'll take one final break, come back with the final word. Time for the final word on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy, what you got?
It was so fun to watch the Chiefs yesterday. I think it was even more fun for me personally because I could at least be happy for part of the day about a team in which I have grown to some care about, if that makes sense. Like, I can't call myself a fan because that's not objective as somebody that covers a team, but like I get to talk about them all the time. So that means I'm more intrigued about games. And boy, oh boy, was that fun to watch, especially for me with not having a lot of fun watching my team yesterday. And I'm extremely happy for this opportunity to go cover this game next week. But I'm thinking it's going to look something like what I watched on TV the Chiefs did to the Raiders yesterday.
My final word is based on a word we used a lot about the Chiefs last year, and that word was unserious. It felt like last year the Chiefs were a team that messed around, played with their food, didn't put the boot on anybody's neck because they knew at the end of the game, if it was close, they had a good enough defense to keep it close. And they kept it close. They had Mahomes, and they had Reed, they had Spags, and that was an advantage. And they would press those advantages, and they would win the close games. And they did. They won all the close games they played in last year. Well, they haven't won any of the close games they played in this year. The solution for the Chiefs then is to not play any more close games and to go out and not mess around with a team as abject as the Las Vegas Raiders. Put them in the dirt and keep them there for 60 minutes. Rub their noses in it. Allowed 3 first downs. One of them was a penalty. They only ran 2 plays that were first downs. And the last one came in the fourth quarter. Like, they humiliated the Raiders. And that is a lot more like what great teams, what Super Bowl contending teams do on a regular basis. Chiefs Kingdom's up next, followed by the Monday Night Football doubleheader from Westwood One. We will be back tomorrow from 3 until 6 with a whole lot more sports talk. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, for Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.